We start with one sentence that changes the lives of countless Arizona women. It's from the ruling by Pima County Superior Court Judge Kelly Johnson. Quote, the court finds that because the legal basis for the judgment entered in 1973 has now been overruled, it must vacate the judgment in its entirety. In other words, now that the U.S. Supreme Court has struck down the constitutional right to an abortion in Roe v. Wade, Arizona's ban on abortion, blocked after Roe was decided by the High Court back in 1973, is now state law again. Or is it?
But if anybody tells you they know exactly what the situation is now, they're fooling you, because it is very complicated, and I think it's impossible to know what the answer is.
Paul Bender is a longtime constitutional law professor at Arizona State University. He believes Judge Johnson's ruling is wrong.
Would we really want a statute passed more than 100 years ago to be the current Arizona statute on abortions? Would anybody want that? That doesn't make any sense.
Here's why the situation is confusing. There are now 2 abortion bans on Arizona's law books, the outright ban and a new abortion ban after 15 weeks of pregnancy, which took effect on Saturday.
So you have 2 statutes which say different things. Ordinarily, the one that prevails is the most recent one, and I think that's what should happen in this case, both because it's the ordinary legal rule that is the most recent one, and also because it makes sense.
And it appears that Republican Governor Doug Ducey agrees. Ducey's spokesman sent this text message Friday in response to the Johnson ruling, which it doesn't mention. It says Governor Ducey was proud to sign SB 1164. That's the 15-week abortion ban. Arizona, he says, remains one of the most pro-life states in the country.
He's a very sensible guy. He's very practical-minded. And he's saying to himself, how in the world could abortion in Arizona be ruled by a legislature that was in effect before we were even a state over 100 years ago?
Looking at the ruling's impact, supporters of the abortion ban say it protects life from conception. But healthcare professionals have raised concerns about their ability to care for pregnant women. Also, the ban does not allow for exceptions in cases of rape or incest. And state reports show abortion rates are highest among women of color, African Americans, Hispanics, and indigenous people. The reaction from Democrats has been deafening.
We will fight and fight and fight in the courts for the rights of women to access reproductive care and abortion in this state.
Democratic Attorney General nominee Chris Mays says she would go to court to overturn the ban. The Democratic nominee for governor, Secretary of State Katie Hobbs, says she'd call a special session of the legislature to repeal it.
And if we can't do that in the legislature, we're going to go to the ballot box to do it.
But virtually every Republican office holder and candidate has been silent. Carrie Lake and Abe Hamadeh, the nominees for governor and attorney general, haven't responded to requests for comment. Republican Attorney General Mark Brnovich, who leaves office in January, had this to say after winning his request to let the Civil War-era abortion ban take effect. We applaud the court for upholding the will of the legislature and providing clarity and uniformity on this important issue. I have and will continue to protect the most vulnerable Arizonans. The most conspicuous Republican we haven't heard from is the top prosecutor in the state's largest county, Maricopa. Rachel Mitchell's office would handle any abortion prosecutions against doctors, but the former sex crimes prosecutor has said she'd use discretion in cases that were the result of rape or incest.
I've spent 25 years working with rape and incest victims, and while people talk about these things as hypotheticals, women getting pregnant through rape or children getting pregnant through molestation, these aren't hypotheticals. These are real names. They're real faces to me. And I absolutely would not re-victimize them. This is, they have been victimized enough.
So what happens next? Planned Parenthood is expected to appeal the ruling on the abortion ban, and providers are going to have to sort out the confusing laws.